Arsenal's defense just lost one of its main pillars. Gabriel is going to be out for 1 to 2 months, but don't panic. Mikel Arteta actually has options, and today I'm going to walk you through the 4 best ways Arsenal can plug this gap. Welcome back to All About Arsenal. As we know, we've heard the terrible news that our star defender, Gabriel, is going to be out for 1 to 2 months. What we know so far is that, according to David Ornstein, he's going to face a 1 to 2 month absence after a thigh stroke muscle injury that he sustained in a very meaningless friendly match against Senegal. The initial assessment suggests that it could be out between 4 to 8 weeks, but further tests are going to take place to determine the full severity of the injury. Let's remember that this 1 to 2 months that Austin said was not gospel. We're going to hear from Mikel Arteta himself on Friday, which is tomorrow, for his press conference. And I'm sure he would have gotten the right information from the doctors at the club to tell us how bad this injury is going to be. But it's an estimate. It's not a precise timetable. The medical team for Arsenal will give us the details. What we know for sure is that Gabriel has been a key pillar at Arsenal's backline this season. And despite the fact that we have the depth to replace him, his absence is going to be a very significant blow. What hurts the most is the fact that this injury is coming at a very crucial time when Arsenal has a very tight schedule across the Premier League, across the Champions League, and of course the domestic cups. The week we're about to go in, we're going to play Tottenham on Sunday. We're going to play Bayern Munich, which is basically our hardest Champions League game in midweek. I think Wednesday or Tuesday, I'll need to verify the exact date. And of course, we have Chelsea away on the next weekend. So if Gabriel is going to be out for 2 months, let's use the worst case scenario. He's going to miss Tottenham, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Brentford, Aston Villa, Club Brugge, Wolves, Everton, the EFL Cup quarterfinal against Crystal Palace, Brighton, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, and he might just come back in time to play Inter Milan. That is a very crazy schedule to miss. Trust me, that's a lot. So despite Gabriel's absence being a major hit for Arsenal, alongside his, of course, partner, William Saliba, Arsenal squad has some strong cover. And today, we're going to examine realistically who can replace Gabriel, not just in name, but in role, in chemistry, and in performance. But the first question we need to ask ourselves is, what does Gabriel bring to the table? Number one, his physical presence. Gabriel is dominant in aerial duels, which is very crucial in defensive solidity and attacking set pieces. We have seen him score so many goals. We've also seen him give some very crucial assists. Against Fulham, when Trossard scored the only goal of the game, that came from a Gabriel assist. Even Vitor Gyökeres' goal against Burnley came from a Gabriel assist. Against Atletico Madrid, he has even scored a couple himself. So he has been a very instrumental player on both ends of the pitch. Gabriel also gives us some aggression and stepping line. He's usually the one that steps into midfield and presses aggressively, helping us now to maintain a high line. The intent that this actually came back to bite us was when we played against Manchester City, when he pressed high, but Haaland, being the robot that he is, decided to have that counter attack with Reinders, and of course a goal was considered for that. Another key thing that Gabriel brings to the squad is his left-footedness. Bearing in mind that him as a left footer playing alongside Saliba, who is a right footer, gives the Arsenal defensive pairing the perfect balance. And as we know, this is basically the best defense in the Premier League, and I would say in Europe. And of course, his defensive leadership. Gabriel is very experienced, he's very confident, and most importantly, he's very consistent. Losing Gabriel means we're going to lose some of our aerial dominance, because if you remember, with Gabriel out of the picture, many of those serious set pieces, we have to find someone new to get to, because for some reason, Any ball that comes in from Declan Rice or Bukayo Saka somehow finds its way to Gabriel. Either he's having a direct header, like when he did against Crystal Palace that almost went into the net, or he's linking up play to a teammate that can finish off. Losing Gabriel also means that we're going to lose some of our physicality because he's someone that parries defenders very well and is very strong. And of course, it's going to create a serious gap in our left centre back slot. So with Gabriel out, there's some criteria we need to consider. I think that we first of all need someone who can fulfill those defensive duels, especially in the air. Gabriel is someone that was very dominant for us in the air, offensively and defensively. And with him out of the picture, we need to find a defender within the team that can do that job. Another key part or another key criteria as far as I'm concerned is someone who can provide decent pace or recovery to cover that space that Gabriel usually defends. With Gabriel in the side, he tends to defend further up the pitch, and his absence is going to be a very, very big bitter pill to swallow. Of course, we need someone who can play on the left side of the defense and adapt to the left side. Obviously, having Gabriel and Saliba is a perfect pairing. With Gabriel out of action, we need a defender that can actually do that job. Another key criteria to consider is someone that can build up play, not just being defensive. Gabriel is a player that actually passes out from the back when required. He's someone that has a good passing range on him. And sometimes he moves with the ball a bit forward before finding someone that's remaining or even some further up the pitch. So we're going to need a defender that can help us with that. And most importantly, a defender that is reliable in big games. Gabriel is a big game monster. Like, he's one of those players you can actually trust to do a perfect job when the time is required. When I look at the team sheet for us now, I think before even the captain Odegaard, in all honesty, Gabriel is the first name and we just want to see in the team sheet because of that leadership that he brings. So someone that's going to replace Gabriel needs to also be a leader. So without further ado, I have 4 options that we're going to consider. 1, Piero Hincapié. 2, Cristhian Mosquera. 3, the combination of either Jurrien Timber or Ben White. And 4, Riccardo Calafiori. So let's look at option 1, which I think is my favorite option, maybe my own bias. I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts on the comments regarding this. I believe that Piero Hincapié should be the player to replace Gabriel Magalhaes in the team. Hincapié is very good at 1v1 defending, which is key. Hincapié has very strong recovery pace. He's someone that can track back and cover wide spaces. He has the speed to, recover when required. In his days in Leverkusen and even in the couple of years of sending play at Arsenal, he's someone that has bags of pace, and that helps him to recover the ball adequately. When he played alongside Mosquera against Brighton, that pace came to great effect, and we could see it. Another key thing about Hincapié is that he's very comfortable playing centrally on the left-hand side of the defense. Under Xabi Alonso, he played LCB so many times for Leverkusen, and he could also play left back. And even at Arsenal, his first full game for the club was actually at left centre back. I think that was against Brighton, yes, even though he was very adept also playing left back for the team. Like Gabriel, Hincapié has very good aggressiveness and physicality. Adding a similar profile, just like Gabriel, If you look at Hincapié, like a Gabriel light, if that's the word to use, but he doesn't come without his weaknesses. 1, Hincapié is not as dominant in the air as Gabriel. So we have to acknowledge that. We can't just say, okay, A is cover everything that Gabriel does. That's not true. Hincapié is similar to Gabriel in terms of his aggressiveness, in terms of his style, in terms of his recovery pace, but he doesn't have that, area dominance that Gabriel gives us. Another potential weakness for Hincapié's game to me is that, because he's a loanee, there's some pressure for him to perform. Not all games might suit him immediately. He's someone that is still adapting to life in the Premier League. It was even worse with the fact that he came into the club with a groin injury that kept him out till almost October. So, in as much as I love Hincapié, I think he's someone that has a lot of burdening to still do. Now, what about the fit with Saliba? It would be a good partnership because Hincapié will give the same Gabriel vibes, that physicality, that aggressiveness, the left side, right side balance, his mobility would help with Saliba's, intelligence, football IQ, Rolls Royce style of football. And of course, he gives us the usual balance we should expect as a left centre back. So Hincapié is my favorite option, but I would like to see consider the other four options I spoke about. Option two is Cristhian Mosquera. I just remembered when we went to Anfield, Saliba rolled his ankle prior to the warm-up, played only 5 minutes, and had to leave the pitch. And who did we bring on to replace Saliba? A young lad called Cristhian Mosquera. That was not enough. Even after having an excellent game, in my opinion, at Anfield, he went on to play against Nottingham Forest and Athletic Club, back in Spain, before Saliba returned back to action against Manchester City. He also took Saliba's place, surprisingly, when we played Newcastle, but he was subbed at halftime. But he's someone that I have absolute confidence in. Yes, he's very young, but he's very experienced. Before joining Arsenal, he played 71 out of 72 games for Valencia in La Liga. 3 full seasons in a row, consistent first-team football. As when Arsenal bought him from Valencia, he was the second highest under 21 player in terms of minutes, behind a goalkeeper, Restes. That should, in all of Europe's top 5 leagues, that shows the kind of experience that this young lad has garnered despite being so young. He's also very good in build-up, very comfortable with the ball at his feet, and he can make progressive passes. At least we have seen that with our own eyes to see how comfortable he is. For those that don't know, Mosquera actually played futsal at some point in his career when he was much younger, and that allowed him to have that technical close control that you'd expect from futsal players. Like Gabriel, Mosquera is very strong aerially. He has a height of 1.91 cm. That I think 6'5" or 6'6", I'm not sure. But that height is very good. It's going to be very important for us defensively and offensively. And of course, Mosquera has defensive intelligence, shows anticipation. We have seen him play this season, and I've seen the consistency of how he plays, which I love. But he has some weaknesses. One, I think he's still developing physically. He might struggle against some kind of dominant strikers within the Premier League. No, not every striker is a Haaland, for instance, but going into the game against Tottenham, I'm going to be faced against maybe Richarlison or Matistel. I think they are quite physical, but Mosquera can challenge. But when we start talking about bulky strikers within the Premier League, like Harry Kane in the game against Bayern Munich, I don't know whether someone like Mosquera might be a good option in that kind of game because of physicality that's not there yet. And of course, the inexperience factor. Remember when we played against Newcastle, he had a chance to play the ball to Rosie. What did he do? He played the ball to the corner kick. They had the corner kick routine, and the Vothmad scored against us. So that inexperience can actually come into play, and I really hope, I yet think of the fact that yes, he is still growing and he will get more minutes as time goes by. As a 21-year-old, there might be some games he might want to, use a more experienced player. How does it fit with Saliba? Well, we've seen them play together. Their first game ever together was against Port Vale in the Carabao Cup, and it can be an exciting young pairing. Both of them are like covers compared to Gabriel and Hincapié, that are aggressive stoppers. But having 2 of them at the same time is not a bad option at all. And of course, it offers us a future solution, not just a stopgap. Mosquera is someone that Arteta trusts, and if he's actually in the first team against Tottenham, I won't bat an eyelid because I trust him that much. Yeah, so these are the fullbacks at the team: Ben White and Jurrien Timber, who have very adept experience playing as centre backs. When we signed Ben White for £50 million from Brighton, he played as a centre back alongside Gabriel for the entirety of the 21-22 campaign. Tomiyasu was our main right back at that point in time. Obviously, Tomiyasu suffering injury issues, and Saliba finally coming of age. Ben White was shunted to the right-hand side to allow Saliba play. But we know his pros. He's very good at passing. He has very good defensive awareness. But playing as a centre back it will really help him because now he won't have to make any bumping runs on the right, but you just have to mark his runs and all that. The only cons I can think of it is that if you put Ben White on the left centre back row, I don't know how comfortable he's going to be unless you obviously want your Saliba to stay in his right centre back row. Timber, on the other hand, is someone that is very versatile. In all the games that Holland played, the last 4 games, both in November international break and October international break, Jurrien Timber played alongside Virgil van Dijk at the centre back for Holland, which clearly means that might actually be his position during the World Cup. As I said earlier, there is a certain Denzel Dumfries who's on that flank, and he's not going to let his space up for someone like Timber. Timber is very good, multiple roles, very athletic, very technical, but he's naturally suited to the wings, playing as a right back. Yes, he can actually play as a centre back pairing, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. I kind of like this idea of Timber and Saliba more of a rotational fix, depending on the fixture. But if he's required to play as a centre back, he or Ben White can actually do the job. Our maverick, Riccardo Calafiori. Calafiori suffered loads of injuries in his debut campaign last season, but this year he has finally come of age. He has become very consistent in his plays, and what he offers us on the left-hand side is just pure chaos. I love what Calafiori is doing right now, totally different from what we should expect from Miles Lewis-Kelly, or even when we play Hincapié on the left-hand side. But he is actually very, very good playing at the centre back. In Italy, he plays as a left centre back, in the back 3 or a back 4. When he was at Bologna, he actually played consistently as a left centre back for them. We know his strengths, good technical ability, very good on the ball, and that will help us build from the back. And he's very flexible tactically, and that's something I love about Calafiori. He's a very intelligent player. He knows how to time his runs well. He knows how to mark well. What are the potential weaknesses for someone like Calafiori? Just like Mosquera, he's not the most physical player. He might be struggling in some physical duels. And in all honesty, he don't necessarily is traditional centre back in the sense that most of his career he has only played in the back 3 as a left centre back. Playing in the back 2 might offer a different dynamic, and we don't know how he's going to cope with that. So in terms of the solutions for Gabriel's absence, my top pick will certainly be Piero Hincapié because he closely replicates what we have from Gabriel, has the defensive profile, the aggressiveness, the pace to recover, although he's not very good in the air. But playing him as a left centre back alongside William Saliba will give us the perfect balance. My second option would be to use Cristhian Mosquera. Yes, he's still developing. Yes, he's still young, but he's a very intelligent player, and we have seen how good he is in the games he has played for us. The third option would be using either Ben White or Jurrien Timber as a centre back. And my fourth option would be Calafiori. But there's some risks. Yeah, relying too heavily on this new pairings, these young centre backs could lead to instability. There could be some tactical changes that these guys are not very conversant with. But we are aware that we are going to be losing Gabriel between 1 to 2 months, 4 to 8 weeks, and we have the squad to handle it. So, guys, what's your take on this? Who would you love to play alongside William Saliba in the North London derby that's coming up this Saturday? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next Arsenal video. Till then, come on, you Gunners.